Welcome everyone to J-Wolf Tech Broadcast. What I actually wanted to bring you is a video I've actually been meaning to do for some time now. I just haven't had the time to kind of sit down and lay it out on actually how I want to do it. So I just thought I would actually just go ahead and throw it up for you guys why we're here. I believe it can help a lot of people because a lot of people are starting to get into problems, especially if they got their own YouTube channel they're just starting, or they're doing photography, or they're into anything that requires large file sizes, even movies. Now, I have a review on some of the components in it, and then I'm just going to get an overall feel of how I actually, I've had it over a year now, and I've kind of had some time to play around with it. So we're going to get into that and see what kind of issues I might have had with it, or just the things that overall that I was pleased with, not pleased with, and we'll just jump into that. First thing I want to go over is the motherboard. When I first started this, I actually went with just an Asus motherboard. I didn't go with anything spectacular. It was a regular desktop consumer motherboard. That would be the wrong way to go. If you're building your own home server, which you can do really cheaply, I will get into that too. But the first thing you want to do is, I'm going to do a review on the motherboard, and what we actually have here is the Super Micro motherboard. And this is actually, I'll probably put the model number, I'll flash it up here on the screen somewhere. That's the first thing that I want to actually discuss here is the motherboard. And this is a great motherboard. Haven't had any issues with it. It was $200 when I bought it. It's still around $200, between $180 and $200. So it is going to cost a little more than some of the other motherboards out there. But definitely get the server motherboard. You can get them between $130 and or $200, around there. It depends on what features you want. They're not going to have all the high quality features as a Z77 or Z87 motherboard out there. So just get that motherboard. I'm telling you, you're going to have a lot less issues with it. I had no issues with drivers. It didn't have any issues with my RAID controller. Overall, hooking everything up went very smoothly once I stepped up and got this motherboard. When I actually was trying to use a regular desktop consumer, like a $100 motherboard, I had a lot of issues with it. It didn't recognize my RAID card. There was all kinds of issues that I actually had with it. Didn't recognize the software properly. I just had a really bad experience with that. So definitely pick up a server motherboard. That's going to be your best way to go there. A few things about the motherboard is that it is laid out a little differently in here. I like to keep things as small as possible. So what I actually have here is the Adaptec. Let's see if I get the number on here. I'll also put the model number of it up there. It's just an Adaptec RAID controller, hardware RAID controller. I'm not a big fan of the actual going about for the software RAID, so that's something that you have to keep in mind. I did go with a hardware RAID controller here. It was the most expensive component in here. Well, not once you add up all the hard drives, but it was about $250, between $250 and $300. I got it 20% off. If you check out some deals on Newegg and CIX, Amazon, you can get a good deal on them. But definitely get one, and get one that at least has good reviews. Check the reviews, check the software and driver support. Adaptec, and there's another one that's I'm running a blank on it, but I read a bunch of reviews on this card, and I haven't had any issues with it. It's been running the RAID. I ran a RAID 5 is what I actually have set up, and I've ran it, and I haven't had any issues since I've owned it. Overall, the only issue that I slightly have with it is that this can get really hot. I have great cooling in here, but if you didn't have the best of cooling, it can get a little bit warm. That's something to keep in mind there. Probably get in here and get a close-up of this now, and get a close-up of the RAID controller and the motherboard. So another thing you want to actually look at is memory. You don't need a lot of memory. I think I have 4 gigabytes, and I actually bought desktop memory. It just has a better overall feel for the motherboards. It's just definitely get server memory. It's going to run a lot smoother. It looks ugly. There's nothing fancy about it. It's not going to be at the highest speeds. It's not going to have a beefy heatsink, but you don't need that in a server. Trust me, you don't. I haven't had any issues with it. I believe it is... Honestly, I couldn't tell you. Probably Crucial, Kingston, whatever out there had 5-star reviews. That's actually what I picked up and what was cheapest, because you don't really need When it comes to the CPU, I actually went with just the cheapest Core i3 I could find. I found that for about $10, $15, $20 more, I could get an i3 over, let's say, a Pentium processor. Anything like that is going to work. I haven't had any issues with it. I've actually been running the stock cooler on it since I owned it. Stock cooler, stock thermal compound, everything, and I haven't had any issues. There's been no thermal issues. Nothing overall that I've had any type of setback with. So overall, I'm very happy with that. I've actually been running 4 Western Digital green drives, and then I'm also running the Intel 330. It's either 330 or 520 SSD as the boot drive. I like to do that so overall, I've never had an SSD die. I've had hard drives die, but overall, I haven't had any bad experiences with an SSD, so I feel that they're a little bit more stable than hard drives. There's going to be many people out there that are going to argue, but I just think that it's a much better, just a much better way to go about things. You don't need a lot of room on it, but you definitely don't want to download the operating system, the Windows home server. I believe it's 2012. That's what I have on this. You definitely don't want to put that on your RAID. It just won't let you. That's a general no-no. So I just did an SSD. If I was doing things now, I'd just go with the one that's most reliable. Intel 520, Samsung 840 Pro, even the 830 series are great drives. If you can find one of those anywhere. There's some Kingston ones, some Crucial ones that have really good longevity on them. So definitely check those out. But for the hard drives, I've had 4 Western Digital 2 terabyte green drives, no issues with them. I've had zero issues with these hard drives, so I'm very happy with that. They got mixed reviews when they came out, and I bought these very close to when they actually came out. But overall, I haven't had any issues with them. They've been a great hard drive. Like I said, no issues at all. One thing I do want to keep in mind is with the RAID controller, I actually had to buy a few cables to actually be able to mount everything in here and just run all the cabling. I didn't have any issues there. It was, like 10, 15 bucks. But keep that in mind when you're actually ordering all your components to make sure that it comes with what you actually have. So that's overall my general conclusion. I mean, you can build one of these extremely cheap. A few things that I would have done differently. These are 2 terabyte drives. I would have stepped up and got 3 or 4 terabyte drives, because when you're building a RAID, you're actually only going to be able to use about 66% of the storage on that RAID. So ideally, I should have 8 gigabytes of storage on my RAID 5. But the way it's actually set up is that I actually think I have around 5.8 or 5.6, somewhere around there. So it's a little different, but I haven't had any issues with it. It sets up extremely well. I've had a few issues with some of the software with the, but it's mainly my router. I switched routers once, and it does not like it when you do that. So I have to go back and reformat the router to do desktop or remote access, but I don't do that anyways. I just do this because it's a lot safer storage solution than some of the other options out there. But you can do this really cheap for building your home server. I mean, especially if you shop around for deals. Like I said, the hardware RAID controller is going to be a really expensive purchase. You can basically drop the cheapest processor you need in there. Like I said, I think I got a Core i3 at I have a Micro Center that's like a half an hour down the road. I picked it up for under $100, and it runs cool. It doesn't even push anywhere near any load, so it runs extremely cool. And that's overall. Oh, power supply. I'm running an Antec Earth Watt 80 plus bronze. It was like a $30 power supply. It was a really cheap power supply. Got really good reviews, but it's like 380 watts or something. It's a really low wattage, but overall I've had very good experiences with it. It hasn't died, hasn't had any issues. The fan does run more than I would like. I do notice that it does run a little more than I would like, but overall I haven't had any issues with it. It's ugly, it's green, it has the ugliest cabling I've ever seen, but like I said, if you're building a server, you're never going to see this. I never see the inside of this thing unless I'm cleaning it out, which, as you can tell, I haven't done in a while. That's it, guys. Overall, it's a great solution. I mean, you can get one between $600 and $800 and build your own server. If you look at some of the NASs out there, a good NAS is going to cost you between $400 and $1,200 depending on how much storage you actually need. So keep that in mind when you're actually going about this. If you like being able to control your things and being able to build your own products, this is the way to go. You can definitely get a better deal. It's the same thing with building a desktop PC. You can get a better deal if you do it yourself. I know this video has been lengthy, but that gives an overall conclusion on everything. Like I said, I haven't had any issues with anything in here. I would recommend anything that I actually personally have in here. I kind of had to jimmy the fan here to get it to stay on there, but I haven't had any issues with that either. So that's a big plus. That's it, guys. Hopefully you guys like this. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, I am extremely new to servers, but I haven't had any issues with this one. I've had a few issues with the software on the Remote Connect, but not anything that's really hampered. I just haven't been able to get to some of my files, let's say at work, before. I have to do it on my laptop where I do have that set up properly, but that was my fault because I changed routers. I actually upgraded and it just caused a big headache, and I just haven't, it hasn't been too much of an issue that I've actually had to went about and fixed it, which I actually could, but I just haven't dove into that. Thanks everyone for watching J-Wolf Tech Broadcast. If you want to see more videos like this where I'm just going over products that I've actually had for a long time, definitely let me know. I would recommend everything in this. Like I said, everything I would give a definite thumbs up on all of it. Had it over a year and haven't had any issues with it? None. I mean, hardware-wise, this thing has ran like a tank from day one. So definitely check any of these products out if you're looking to build your own server. Thanks everyone for watching again, and I will see you guys next time.